the theory is, Matt, that the slow market in free agency for wide receivers has to do with the amount of wide receivers and the talent of those wide receivers available in the draft. Do you agree with that?
You know, guys, I do to an extent. And I think that the key is that like the value of the wide receiver position has started to change in that like Michael Thomas was a second-round pick. DK Metcalf was a second-round pick. A.J. Brown was a second-round pick. So I think we're starting to look at wide receivers not quite like running backs. It's not been devalued that much, but it's the idea that do you need to spend a top 10 pick on a wide receiver? No one was drafted in the top 10 last year at the wide receiver position. And it was an historic year with Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, even guys who went in the second round like T. Higgins, Michael Pittman. It was a very good wide receiver class. None of them went in the top 10. And so I think more so what we're seeing is that teams are saying, okay, is wide receiver a premier position? Do we need to pay for Kenny Golladay? Do we need to pay for Juju Smith-Schuster? And even Allen Robinson signs his franchise tag tender. We're seeing wide receivers understand that, you know what, we're not the reset the market guy. That's not who I am. I'm not that player. And so instead, I think they're taking smart deals, taking smart money. Curtis Samuel to Washington is another example of that, of players understanding what their actual value is, because these teams do see that while this year's wide receiver class maybe is not as deep as last year's, Jamar Chase is a really good player. And so would you rather have Jamar Chase or Kenny Golladay? I'd rather have Jamar Chase.
I'd rather have him on a rookie deal.
Would you have, exactly, yeah, for 5 years, right? Would you rather have Devonta Smith or Juju Smith-Schuster? I'd rather have the guy who just won the Heisman, first wide receivers with 91 to do it. I'd rather have that. So I think that is affecting free agency in the matter of, would I rather pay $15 million a year for Juju Smith-Schuster, whose best year was 2 years ago, or Kenny Golladay, who's 28, played 5 games last year, or would I rather have one of these rookies? So I think we're also seeing just the money in the NFL shift of, looks like cap was down and next year's going to be flat. Do I want to pay for a wide receiver, or do I think in around 3 or 4, probably get a pretty good athlete who we could develop into that position?
So, Matt, where does this draft class, as far as it relates to wide receivers, rank against the best we've ever seen?
You know, Jay, I think last year was the best that I've ever seen, doing this since 2010 professionally. Last year was the year where it was like, oh my God, there's like 7 or 8 first-round wide receivers. Even a guy like Brendan Ayuk, who went late first, you're like, okay, this is a deep, deep wide receiver draft. This year is the best top 3 that I think I've seen in terms of first-round wide receivers. And so I've actually done the research. You can go back to 2010. These 3 receivers, Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, that is the best big 3 that we've seen. Now, obviously, 2014, with Julio and A.J. Green, that was a pretty good year for the draft. It was a pretty good wide receiver class. But in terms of 3 wide receivers probably going to the top 15, I do think that this is the best class. The problem is there's a big drop-off. 2, Kadarius Toney from Florida, Rashad Bateman from Minnesota, Elijah Moore from Ole Miss. There's a pretty significant drop-off this year from the big 3 to, all right, 4, 5, 6 are good, but they're probably fringe first-round players.
We're talking with Matt Miller, ESPN NFL draft contributor on the Goodyear Hotline. Well, when we talk draft, you want to talk about classes, quarterback, obviously, we always go to that point. So we were talking about Carson Wentz, and he's leaving Philly. They have Jalen Hurts, but they don't have any other quarterbacks. Howie Roseman said he's going to search everywhere to find a quarterback this offseason. How likely is it that they might do it again in the first round, this time at the number 6?
I mean, I guess it's likely. By the way, Howie Roseman was the saddest man in America during that press conference. Some of you guys get a chance to watch it. It's like, Howie, you're making millions of dollars to pick players, buddy. Smile a little bit. It's not that hard of a job, okay? Let's chill. You've been there a minute. I do think that it's likely, but they should not. And my argument, guys, is that you drafted Jalen Hurts at 53 overall last year. When you had Carson Wentz, you drafted Jalen Hurts. So you've already done this. You've already said to the guy, hey, we're gonna draft somebody to be behind you, whether they wanted it to be a Taysom Hill package or whatever. They did it. They pulled the trigger. They drafted the quarterback. Why would you do that again when instead Jalen Hurts started 4 games last year, and his numbers weren't amazing, but he ignited the offense. They played better with him. They were more energetic with him. You could tell that the team rallied with Jalen Hurts at quarterback as opposed to Carson Wentz. So, why not at pick 6? Jamar Chase could be on the board from LSU. Kyle Pitts could be on the board from Florida. Take the best pass catcher on the board. One of these players that we're saying, like, this dude might be a Hall of Fame player at the wide receiver or tight end position. Take that player. Try to build a supporting cast around Jalen Hurts. Something that, let's be honest, Carson Wentz had his faults, but they did not build a supporting cast around him. They had Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey, these older wide receivers. Give Jalen Hurts a chance by drafting a young wide receiver, let him grow with somebody. And, hey, if it doesn't work out, if he's bad, you'll be drafting high next year. And we know the NFL will find quarterback prospects next year to fall in love with in the top 10. So give it a year. Howie Roseman has been there since Andy Reid left. He has job security. You can wait one more year if Jalen Hurts is not your guy.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.